Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I am Cyrus,
And I'm Pickyo Gamer.
and welcome to Game Rambling. It has been a minute since we have done this show. I can't even tell you guys, we were just talking off air about like when we think the last show we did was we said like probably like 2020. But good Lord, we started this show. When did we start doing this? Do you remember?
I don't remember. It's been a hot minute.
I know.
Um,
Well, I know
four
we
or
were.
5 years ago?
Yeah. Well, I know we were covering the when the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X were getting ready to come out before they were named. Before they were still calling the PS4 Pro
Neo.
the Neo. That's right. So whenever that was 2016 maybe. So
I guess so, yeah.
yeah, because we were definitely doing this before the Switch came out because we had all that NX coverage, and that was 2017, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's at least 6 years, 7 years. That's crazy. Wow. How have you been?
I've been pretty good. Just, life changes, things like that, working, gaming when I can, just the same old, same old. What about yourself?
Lots, like you said, lots of stuff has gone on. We've been through in the interim from the last time we did a show, we had the pandemic. I went through a whole bunch of controversy stuff with the particular unnamed console that didn't work out. There's been all kinds of stuff go on. Life changes, like you said. But we're here, man. We're kicking. Well, we're here, and we're both still alive and interested in video games. And wow, we have picked an interesting time to come back. There has been a lot of negativity recently that's taken place because there's just been a lot of disappointment in a lot of different ways. Hopefully, not this show included. But yeah, there's so many news stories that we were starting to assemble these stories, and it was like, man, everything's a bummer. Like everything is a bummer. But
Yeah.
maybe not. Maybe there's some room for some optimism here. But we should really start off with the first news story, which is this Activision acquisition for Microsoft. Everything it seems like has gone wrong with that. The If you don't know about this, Microsoft was in the process of trying to buy Activision, and they got blocked, and they went through a couple of different rounds of this, and now it's there's not a lot of hope that this thing's going to work out for Microsoft. What were your thoughts when you heard about Microsoft trying to buy Activision and what that could have meant for the industry or for these two companies? Like, how do you feel about this whole situation?
Well, I've said this before and I got a lot of flack for it. I think these big companies, Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo, any of the big three, going out and buying these third party developers don't really benefit anybody except that one company. Bethesda was swallowed up by Microsoft. Of course, that benefited them, but it's not going to benefit Sony players. And of course, people go, "Well, does it's not?" But it's more than just that. It's not going to benefit everybody when these third-party developers become blocked in,
Mm.
and now Microsoft wants to do it again. And this is Activision Blizzard, I think,
Right. Yes.
isn't it? Yeah, so they're going to get like World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, all sorts of stuff. And I've seen a lot of people commenting like, "Good, they don't need to do it." And I have to say, I agree. I don't think they should be able to do it. If somehow they get around it and they do it, I don't know how that's going to work for people that play Call of Duty, because Call of Duty is multi-platform and cross-platform. I think
Yeah.
you play it more than me. So if they decide to say, "Hey, we're not going to put it on the Sony platform anymore," they're going to piss off a lot of gamers. So,
Well, if you don't mind,
and then,
I'm going to read just a little bit
hmm
from an article. This is from Yahoo News. The title of the article is Microsoft's Activision buyout could be blocked for 10 years. Microsoft planned acquisition of Call of Duty publisher Activision Blizzard may have been put on ice. The Xbox manufacturer announced January 2022 they wanted to acquire the gaming company for almost $69 million. The proposed deal would have been the biggest takeover of one company by another in the history of gaming, but governments had concerns. In order to work, the deal needs to be approved by regulators in the UK, the US, and the EU. Last week, which when this article was written, the UK's Competition Markets Authority blocked the deal over concerns it would after the future of the cloud gaming market leading to reduced innovation. And they would, okay, so basically they cited as a reason that they were blocking it this time as their concerns over the cloud gaming market, because apparently Activision owns some cloud gaming technology that if
hmm
Microsoft would buy would basically almost give them like a monopoly on a lot of stuff. So they were really concerned about that. At least that's what they claim was the reason that they're blocking it this time.
right.
Federal Trade Commission, European Commission are yet to make their decisions, though. Both companies have stated their intention to appeal, which I've heard that appeal process is kind of dead in the water. That's really, they're appealing to the same people who made the decision in the first place. So, yeah.
Mm.
But
And if I know if they lose, and they could be blocked for 10 years from
that's
trying to purchase it again.
yeah, that's what it says here. A government spokesperson said those sorts of claims are not the claims are. Oh, let me back up for a second. It says both companies have stated their intention to appeal the decision, with Microsoft's vice chairman Brad Smith claiming the decision is bad for Britain in an interview he did with the BBC. And a government spokesperson said those sort of claims are not borne out by the facts, and they added that the UK game sector has doubled in size in the past 10 years. If an appeal is unsuccessful, the companies may not be able to try again for a decade. That's crazy.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
So,
that's, there's a lot of maybes there, but if they lose it, if they lose the appeal, it's going to it's going to affect them. And I know a lot of people may say, "Oh, well, you're just anti-Microsoft." No, I don't want Sony to do the same thing. I wouldn't want
right.
Sony to buy Capcom, Sony to buy Square Enix. I don't. Microsoft is just buying up all these developers to pad out Game Pass, and I don't think it's the best. I don't think it's good.
Well,
So,
yeah, dude. I mean, I can't think of since they bought out Bethesda and they bought out all these other studios like Ninja Theory, like we haven't seen results from that, you know? Where are the games? I know this is like a cliche at this point, but where are the freaking games, you know?
yeah,
And when
right.
it's just been it everyone is just basically saying that Microsoft is buying these companies so they can, like you said, pad Game Pass up with a bunch of games that these companies have licenses for. But that's all they're going to do. They're not innovating. They're not bringing out new games. They're not pushing these developers to do anything. That kind of actually leads into the next story. I don't know if we want to go ahead and go into the Phil Spencer stuff, but I mean,
Sure.
it's just crazy that these companies, like you said, whether it be Microsoft, whether it be Nintendo, whether it be Sony, trying to basically buy up all these studios and homogenize this marketplace with just a few companies controlling everything. That's always been something that you and I have talked about and talked against because if you guys remember, if you've ever watched our previous game rambling stuff, we have gone on rants about this several times, but it's like the worst thing I can think for the industry to just have these big conglomerates controlling everything, and then there's no competition, there's no innovation, there's no,
Mm-hmm.
nothing like that. At least that's my biggest concern about all this kind of stuff. But yeah, we were, there's definitely a lot more to this story, and unfortunately, there's a lot more going on for Phil Spencer. I personally don't. I'm not a. I've never been really critical of Phil Spencer because I really felt like he's tried the best he could, but this new development that has taken place is concerning. His attitude is being called out into question. What he's saying in public about Xbox is very concerning for people that are fans of that platform. I don't know if you know this, Mike, but I actually bought an Xbox Series S finally. I finally,
Yeah, I think you mentioned that.
I finally got
Yeah.
around to it, and I really liked the Series S. I liked it a lot more before they took away my emulators, but it's still really nice. But apparently, Phil has conceded defeat. Have you seen this interview or read about what was said during this?
Yeah, I've read some of it. Yeah.
It's freaking crazy. If you don't mind, I'll read a little bit about this.
Mm-hmm.
This is also from Yahoo. By the way, we're not sponsored or affiliated with Yahoo. I'm just lazy. That's how I found my news. So, in an interview with an Xbox Community YouTube channel, which I believe was, oh man, I can't remember the name of the channel. I had the link up just a second ago. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I just wanted to try to list the actual video. I'll put it in the description of this. Anyway, in an interview with an Xbox Community YouTube channel published on Thursday, he said it was an illusion to think that executives like the exclusives. What am I cannot read. I'm sorry. He said it was an illusion to think that exclusives like the hotly anticipated Starfield would cause Sony players to switch allegiances. That's because 90% of gamers are already committed to their existing console. He said, this is quote, it's just not true that if we go off and build great games, all of a sudden you're going to see console shares shift in some dramatic way. We lost the worst generation to lose in the Xbox One. He said, I know that will upset a ton of people, but it's just the truth of the matter when you're third place in the console marketplace and the top two players are as strong as they are.
Mm-hmm.
He's basically, I remember watching this interview, and he says making good games is not the answer. And I'm like, what do you think about that statement? What do you?
I don't know. Sometimes Phil Spencer's is idealistic. He's not a bad guy. I mean, I've kind of griped about him before. I'm not gonna, say that I haven't hated on him before, but sometimes he says the stupidest things, and it's like good games are not going to fix it. I'm like, that's the whole it doesn't matter. You can go be a Nintendo fanboy, a Sony fanboy, a Microsoft fanboy, or a PC, PC a master. What's that called? Uh, Master Race. Yeah, that's that.
Yeah.
That's that funny term they use. It's all about the games. That's the whole damn point we play. It's all about the games. It's not and if you're not wanting to try to make good games, then all it is going to be another, it goes into another article, which we'll be bringing up here a little bit, stuff coming out and it not being good. Well, what else do you got? If you don't want to put out good games and you're talking about losing the console wars, they are third. Everybody's like, oh, it's all pro Sony. No, Microsoft has lost to Nintendo really bad. They've taken that Switch and just made it a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And it's so, over 100 million. It's been over 100 million sold for a while now. So I don't understand what he thinks they need to do. But if they're losing the console market or losing the war, so to speak, or losing, they're not doing as well as they should, then software is where it needs to be. But he thinks it's not. I don't understand that.
This is the head of Xbox. This is the guy who's dictating the path forward for that platform. This is the guy who's setting the tone for all of the employees and all of their subsidiaries, all these studios that they've been buying, all these developers that are working on games or supposed to be working on games or whatever. And this is a guy who says things like, there is nothing that is more difficult for me than disappointing the Xbox community, just to kind of watch the community lose confidence, be disappointed. I'm disappointed. I'm upset with myself. This is, what is he, is he giving up? Are we hearing that Xbox is throwing in the towel? Is that what we're hearing here? Are we hearing the CEO losing confidence in his own product? How is this guy going to promote this platform to developers, to third parties, to indie studios, to all these different people, investors and all this stuff? How is he going to be the face of Xbox from this point forward and people take what he has to say seriously when they know he's out there basically giving up on his own platform? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying, and you're right. It's like these statements he's putting out there are pretty damning. I mean, he's admitting the truth in a lot of things, like they lost the war and they're third, and but it doesn't help that it's like if you're, I don't know, captain of a ship and you start talking about the problems and everything else, your crew is going to get down. They're going to lose hope. And
yeah, I mean, I know that they just got their ass handed to them in Europe, for this Activision deal. I understand that. I understand they're feeling wounded. I get that. And I understand that, Sony is releasing hit after hit. Nintendo is killing everybody. They're doing gangbusters on their, console. I understand that Xbox is in third place and has been in third place for a long, long time. But to look back and say, we lost the war back with the Xbox One, what is that? What kind of BS is that? I mean, Microsoft has had, I'm sorry, I'm a little worked up about this because, yes, I've criticized Xbox in the past as well. We're both critical of Xbox, but it's not because we hate Xbox. It's because we remember the Xbox 360. We remember when Microsoft was firing on all cylinders. They were releasing hit after hit when Halo was in its heyday, when the Xbox was so successful. The president of the United States, I remember when he was giving a speech, instead of saying kids playing video games, he said kids playing Xbox. Xbox had become what, Nintendo used to be that. It used to be people would say, let's go play Nintendo. People were saying, let's go play Xbox. That's how successful the 360 was in the United States. I could not believe the catastrophe that befell Xbox with the Xbox One. And I am equally shocked to hear Phil Spencer right now basically going, we lost back then. We lost. And I'm like, what the hell, man? You're telling me that all of the gains you've made from the Xbox One X, which was a huge, huge thing for them, and then when they released the Series X and the Series S, the most powerful console on the market, the Series X, you're telling me, and Game Pass, they keep talking about Game Pass, it's the most amazing thing ever, right? That's what they keep saying. You're telling me all this success that came after this loss that you had with the Xbox One back in 2013, you're telling me you're not looking at all this saying, look at all these gains we've made and how we're moving forward in a good direction and this is the best thing for gaming. You're saying you've lost? You're saying we lost back then and you're just disappointed. You're disappointed and you feel bad because you've disappointed your own community. I heard this guy say some stuff that really I don't understand. You know, when your job is to promote your gaming platform and you say better games, good games is not the answer. What the hell is the answer? Because if the answer is some sort of Ponzi scheme with Game Pass, I'm sorry to say this, but like if the answer is to just keep buying studios so you have content to throw at Game Pass rather than actually produce good games, that cannot be sustained. There's no way you can keep buying studios. You're going to run out of studios, right?
Right.
And the other thing is the studios that they buy, he's saying it's not in this interview, but I did see an interview where he's talking about how they're not forcing their studios to make the kind of games they're used to making. They're letting them just make whatever games they want. So a lot of these games that they're making turn out to not be that great. Or, you know, it's like their first outing trying to make a game of a certain kind or something like that. And you end up with situations that are strange and disappointing because they're not making the next one in the line that they should be doing. What was going to happen if they bought Activision? Was that the end of Call of Duty? And instead Activision was going to start putting out, you know, I don't know, Hello Kitty games or something, you know what I mean? Like something else.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre. It's very disappointing to hear, but there's a lot of disappointment in going around. Like you were alluding to a minute ago. I guess we could, I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to add to that?
No, I don't have anything else to say because it is shocking, a lot of the things he's saying, and
Yeah.
I don't know if it's hinting towards something changing here soon that we don't know about, or
That's a good
I don't
point.
know.
That's a good point. What is the plan? What is going to happen with Microsoft? You know, I've heard people bring this up, this idea that what if Microsoft sold the Xbox brand off? What if they sold Xbox off to someone else like Apple or something like that? Do you think something like that is possible?
If they get to the point they can't figure out a way to be successful, yeah, they'll probably want to cut and run from it. I mean, a lot of people will go, "Oh no, never," but if they're sitting there saying, you know, you're letting a CEO come out and say these things and that like there's no other way to fix it, there's a possibility.
Yeah.
But then why are they buying studios? I
Well,
don't know.
yeah, but see that's the thing. They basically told us why they're buying the studios. They're not buying the studios to make games. They're buying them for their licenses so they can throw them in Game Pass. You know?
Yeah.
And that's ridiculous. But I mean, people seem to be happy with Game Pass, I guess. Like I hear so many people tell me, "Oh, I love Game Pass. It's the best thing ever. I have no problem with Game Pass." And I'm like, "Okay, you know, you're not going to own those games. You're not I mean, games as a service I have a problem with. I've always had a problem with. You know that."
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I mean, I like the Nintendo service. I like it, but it sucks because that service there's no retro games as a service. Games as a service goes away when your platform changes. You know, all the stuff they're supposedly giving you on the service is just rental stuff. You're just being loaned games to play. And it's even worse. Yeah. It's even worse for Game Pass because you're just being loaned games that already existed anyway, or indie games, because the studios that they've bought they're not making stuff, or they're making stuff that you're not even looking for anyway. It's just disheartening. So yes, Phil, I am disappointed as well. And speaking of disappointment, as they're alluding to a minute ago, you know, new games come out all the time. And when the new games come out, unfortunately, we become the beta testers for those games because the studios don't do that anymore, at least not the way they used to. You know, it used to be once upon a time, you had to hire a whole bunch of people to test the ever living hell out of your game before you could put it out, because once it got put on a cartridge, that's it, or a CD or whatever. And nowadays, it's just utter disappointment time and time and time again. And two of these high profile games, which I have listed in the new releases, have come out, Redfall and Jedi Survivor, and it's just been a complete crap show for both of these. Have you played either of these, or have you seen what's been going on with these titles?
I've read about Redfall's, the review and why it's just not doing well, and listening to the problems with Jedi Survivor, especially on PC. Jedi Survivor seems to be doing better. It seems to be, well received. It's a very good game, good reviews. But, these games come out and they're not polished, they're not finished, or they're just buggy. And, it actually, for like Jedi Survivor, it hits the PC players more than the console players, and it runs like crap. And again, PC gamers keep saying, why are we getting the crap version? Well, they develop it for the console, they get the console smoothed out pretty well, and then they put it on the PC. I don't understand it. I have to say, it's kind of mind-boggling that the PC's ports or PC versions have so much problems, because used to the PC games, they had problems. You have some of them with some bugs and stuff happens, but they weren't the ones that were running the worst. The consoles didn't outperform them.
Well, once upon a time, I got myself into a little trouble by commenting on what you just were talking about. How my problem, this was back in 2015 that I got myself into this hot water. I had just bought a pretty nice video card, and I had a pretty good computer that I'd pieced together. Spent a pretty good amount of money. I think I spent I want to say probably $400 on that graphics card that I had. At the time, it was good. It was very good tech. I had good specs, and there was new games coming out like Arkham Knight and the new Call of Duty and I can't remember all the games. There were several games, high profile games that were coming out on PC and console. And the console versions had a few issues, but for the most part, they ran pretty good. The PC versions of those games had major problems. They had bugs that actually broke games. It was like a huge deal. There were articles written about it from IGN, from GameSpot, from big articles that were written about these releases that were all screwed up on PC. It was like way worse on PC than it should have been, considering that the console versions really didn't have as many problems. So I made a video. I don't know if you remember this.
I think I do.
Right. So I made a video, and it was entitled PC Gaming Sucks, because I was pissed because I had spent a huge amount of time and money putting together a good PC, researching how to get the best performance out of it. I had those, Afterburner software running to overclock my video card and the RAM and all this stuff. I did a lot of I was going into the config sys's and streamlining things, trying to get all of my background processes minimized, trying to get the absolute best frame rates I possibly could. And I had good hardware, and the games ran like total crap. These new games that I really wanted to play. And I was pissed because I'm like, why is it that you spend the most money, you spend the most time, you care the most, you put all this effort into what should be and what you would expect to be the premier gaming platform, the one with the best hardware possibility, the most customization, the platform of choice, PC gaming, the master race, right? You put all that effort and all that time in, and then it doesn't matter because the game itself is screwed up. And you see this time and time again, and that's what was going on back at that time, was that the PC version was like the redheaded stepchild, for lack of a better word, of the gaming space. They were treating the console versions like that was where That's what they cared about. They didn't really care that much about the PC versions. I think that that's changed to an extent, right, over time. But
A
now,
little bit, I think so.
yeah, PC versions definitely tend to be better. Fewer bugs, a better experience than what happened at that time. But here we are. It persists today. They care more about hitting a release date than they do about giving you a good game, And there's that whole like cliche thing, this saying about like, if you release a game and it's bad forever. If you release a game late, then, you can release, I don't remember what you fool me, you can't fool me again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Basically, once you release it good, and even though it's late, then it's great. But if you release it too early, then it's bad, and it's bad. That's it.
Yeah. Like why are we still living in this world? Why is it? I get it. They want the game out. They want their money. They don't care. But man, with all the high profile games over the years that have come out, Cyberpunk, right? All these games that have come out and just ruined Halo. Like, look at the permanent damage that's been done to Halo. You know what I'm saying? It's just so disappointing.
What was that? That collector's or the Master Chief collection? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember trying to play that with my buddy on the Xbox, and it was just an absolute nightmare.
And Halo Infinite was a complete crap show. They were like half the game got delayed, and then it's just not. It doesn't run well. It hasn't ever run well, and people have been hugely disappointed. It's so strange that companies like Microsoft that's what they need to be doing. Don't believe that that's what they need to be doing. Like creating good games and good experiences and getting them released in a playable format. I was watching a friend of mine play through Jedi Survivor, and he's playing on Xbox Series X. And this game had, horrible performance. Unbelievably, it was way under 30 frames per second. And he was having all these glitches on the screen and screen tearing. And there was points where he would be fighting an enemy and the enemy would disappear for a second and reappear someplace else. It was bizarre. And I'm like, how is this happening? I don't know. It's very disappointing.
Wow. And then these had the Redfall. It's just such a underdeveloped game that it's just another mess. And that's a different camp. It seems like when we would go back, we were talking about, Xbox buying devs to pad out Game Pass. And here we have another game come out and it's premature.
Yeah.
It's just not ready to go out. And it's like, oh, thank you gamers. You're the beta testers. Well, no, people are getting tired of that.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I really don't understand why you cannot just at the most. There's going to be a bug or two, and that's fine. Even if you have a bug that maybe breaks part of the game, if it's not completely break everything, wipe out your save game, it happens. But if it comes out and it runs really well, other than a bug or two, that's fine. It happens. But no, you have these games come out that are just running like crap or underdeveloped, and it's just it seems like you're playing the beta.
They put them out and they're not even done. It's like the game's not even close to being finished. It's, and there's game breaking bugs that you literally can't even play through the whole game because it's you get to a certain point and the game just craps on you. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I know.
We put up with a lot of this crap, and the PC gamers, I really feel like, and I still feel like, they get the worst end of it because they have the highest expectations because it's PC gaming. You should have the highest expectations on PC gaming because you're spending the most money, the most time, the most effort. It's the most comprehensive platform. It's the superior platform. Let's just be honest. Every console is a budget box for playing games. PC gaming is that's the bleeding edge of technology. And if you spend $1,000 on a graphics card and you're not getting as good a performance as, as you should
A
be.
$500 console,
Yeah.
then you're going, what's happened here?
It's just nuts. I don't understand it. It's very frustrating. And like I said, I know there's a lot of negativity in these stories and in pretty much in this time period that we're in for gaming. It's just because we want things to be better. We want things to, we want these games to work. We want good games to come out. We want these guys to believe in their products, you know? Can you imagine if Shigeru Miyamoto came out and said that Nintendo, because the Wii U had not done well, that Nintendo had failed and that they had disappointed everyone, and they didn't, and that good games were not the answer for them?
Yeah, I mean, you would look because good games or the hits or the big, Nintendo is about the games. That's why they actually put their hardware behind second to games, and that's why they're still doing well.
Yeah.
Of course, like the Wii U, they have failures, but they tried something, but then they have hits, and then they know where to run with it, and they're doing well. So,
Well, you know what company doesn't release games like Redfall and Jedi Survivor that have all these massive problems when they get released? At least I can't think of this happening I can't even remember a time this happening. Is Nintendo, right? Nintendo actually cares about the games they put out, and they test the hell out of them. It's funny how that actually makes a difference. I don't know.
yeah, we sit there and bitch and gripe, and we wait because they'll show this. It's 5 days. It is exactly 5 days till Tears of the Kingdoms come out, but they announced it years ago, and who knows how many years before it was in development. But when they come out, they're not crap shoots. Now, Breath of the Wild has some performance problems because it was a Wii U game and a Switch game, but they fixed those. But it still was game breaking.
Right.
It ran good and still runs good to this day. So from the early, what people have got to have hands on with Tears of the Kingdom, it runs good. Not perfect, but it's the Switch is 6 years old. It's getting old.
Yeah. And speaking of Tears of the Kingdom, there's been a lot of news that has been going around about this game. Obviously, everyone's anticipating the release May the 12th, but a lot of people have been playing this game already. I don't know if you've seen the stories about this, but yeah. Yeah.
Old early.
Yeah. So apparently, some physical copies of the game have been being sold out of like warehouses or something. We really don't know exactly where all of them are coming from, but people are playing this game, and apparently it's leaked online, and people can play it with emulators and stuff like that. Nintendo is cracking down, going after people. So I would not recommend you go looking for this unless you.
It's on YouTube too. I mean, I saw one and I clicked on it and it just started, and I was like, it was the first. It's probably gone now. I know it's gone. The first 30 minutes
right.
of Tears of the Kingdom, and it was not. It must have been recorded and put up, and I don't think it's out there. I could be wrong, but I was like, holy crap! You got to be careful, but. I don't know if some of the, you wonder if somehow when these games get shipped early, they get shipped early from, I don't know, a company, say Best Buy or Walmart. I don't understand how they do that. I don't understand, I'm not sure how these people are doing it or how they're getting it, but if it's literally somebody throwing it out the door and, not caring about that street date, then that's crazy.
Yeah. I guess there's a few ways that could be happening, but it's either happening from warehouses or from the back, the storage areas of the stores themselves. But somewhere along the line, boxes of games are falling off the backs of trucks, as they say. and
True.
these things are getting put out there and then apparently dumped online. So yeah, it is what it is. This is, I mean, this happens, right? It does happen. But if you're a fan of Zelda, if you're a fan of the Switch, you might want to be careful about the spoilers and stuff, because people are obviously spreading this stuff around and talking about it. They are getting hit by Nintendo for copyright and stuff like that, obviously. But you might just be careful because it's out there, and you might have a hard time avoiding seeing some stuff you don't want to see if you really care about it. I just hate to see. Hopefully this crap doesn't impact sales of the game. That's my biggest concern. I don't think it really would, but you never know how big an impact piracy can have on those initial sales, because that's what they judge the merits like of success for a game. It's like movies and stuff. Like the first sales, the first money that comes in is so important, because that's how they decide, was this game successful or not. So
Yeah. I just found a video, and it's not been taken down, but it's somebody opening their copy of Tears of the Kingdom, and they unwrap it from some bubble wrap. So,
oh wow.
so, and then at RGT85, I never watched it, but he just put out a video. Where'd it go? I was looking for it here. But it's Amazon shipping them early. I mean, it's just, some of it's falling off the back of a truck, and some of it is just incompetence. These places,
Yeah,
they'll grab it and throw it out there. And it's like, guys, you got to, I bought mine and pre-ordered the whole thing from my GameStop. So I get off work this Friday. I'm swinging by my GameStop, picking up my copy, so I don't get that, oh, maybe they'll ship it early stuff. So.
right. Wow. So
But
that,
what do you think about people that get it? There's a lot of hatred toward people that get it. I get the ones that get out here and stream it. That's kind of, I don't know. You're going to get banned, get blocked, and it spoils it. But a lot of people get angry at the people who get it and play it. I'm like, if I got a game early in the mail, and it's, of course, physical, I can plug it into my system and play it, you sure as shit think I want to play it.
dude, I mean, if the company that you bought it from, whether it's Amazon or GameStop or Nintendo themselves, if they send you the game, you're going to play it. Why are you not going to play it? And
Exactly.
and then here's my thing. Can you imagine this? They send you your Zelda. Imagine you woke up tomorrow and you have your copy of Zelda, and you decide, damn, I'm playing this. But because you played it and your Switch registers that you played it before the release date, they brick your console. Can you imagine something like that happening?
Yeah, I can imagine that, and that's bullshit too.
Yeah.
But that could happen. You're right.
Absolutely, it could happen. Yeah. But that's not even your fault. They did that. Like you're not going to play your game that you got. You're going to wait because you're afraid. I mean, that's BS. It's a crazy time. It's a crazy time. I don't even know.
I guess just put your console on offline mode and go for it, because then they can't tell.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge difference between somebody stealing a game or buying a stolen game, participating in piracy in some way. There's a big difference between that and somebody getting sent the game that they bought early through no fault of their own and wanting to play the game that they got legally. It's
right.
If the shipping company screws up, or if Nintendo screws up or whatever, and you get your game early, and then they do something to you because of that, I don't know. That's unbelievable. But yeah, it's a weird time. Did you ever play all the way through the first one?
Oh, I beat it. Yeah, I beat it all the way through.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, me too. I got all the DLC, and I think I put 100.
I didn't do the DLC. I don't know why. Once I got through it, I put like 160 something hours in that game. I did. I put a lot of time, and I know people that put hundreds of hours into it. People are still playing it now and trying to find the little stuff. But I once I beat it, I was done with it. So I didn't do the DLC because the DLC didn't interest me. But you know,
I did get the DLC and I actually really enjoyed it. So if you see a deal on that, you might think about doing that. It's pretty cool.
yeah,
I'm
gonna
gonna
do that.
I'm actually gonna play through that whole first game again before I get the second one because it's been years. I don't really remember everything, and it'll be a good experience. I've got the OLED Switch now, so I'm curious to see how it probably runs exactly the same, but I'm just curious. I haven't even played it since I got it. So because the one that I originally had, I gave to my daughter when I gave her my old Switch.
Right.
But yeah, I'm excited about it, and I hope I don't see any spoilers. But honestly, I'm not looking for that stuff anyway, so hopefully I can avoid a lot of that stuff. I'll tell you what. So looking forward to these new games coming out, but also, it's crazy how these rumors circle around to these new revisions of consoles. Like we was talking about the OLED Switch a second ago, which is a pretty good upgrade. But we're already hearing these stories, and apparently serious stories, about an upgrade to the PlayStation 5. Have you heard about this?
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard about it and I've read some about it. It's kind of blows my mind that this is actually happening with the whole next gen race, and this is Xbox and Sony, has been, to me, lukewarm. I mean, it's been where we've had the chip shortage, and we had the actual whole supply chain, failure due to the pandemic. Those things have not been available for years, really, unless you got in there and got lucky. I only got it because I called around the time when I was looking for it, and found a GameStop was going to get some in like a few months ago, but you had to be a pro member. We're a pro member, and you had to buy a bundle with another controller, which wasn't too much to worry about. And I got one, but I still, I was in Best Buy yesterday. I still don't ever see these consoles sitting there ready to buy. You don't see them in Walmarts, and they're talking about a new PlayStation Pro, and I'm like, it's not the time. At least not in my opinion.
So there's this website called Insider Gaming, and they're claiming that the PS5 Pro is 100% in development, and a prominent insider named Tom Henderson reported that the new PlayStation 5 will come with a detachable disc drive and will be released at the end of this year.
Yeah. So they're not only going for the PS5 Pro, they're going for a new version of the PS5.
Yeah. So what? Yeah. Or are they talking about the same thing? I don't know. Is it the same?
I don't know.
They said that there's a PS5 Slim that's being worked on. It's almost identical to the current PS5, but that's what they're talking about for the PS5 Slim with the detachable disc drive. Interesting. Huh.
Yeah. I guess maybe if they could change up the design. That one I can see, because if they change up the design of the PlayStation 5 and make it cheaper and easier to get the chips, chips they get redesigned all the time. They get cheaper, smaller, easier to manufacture. Then that makes sense. But the Pro, which is supposedly dev kits are about to go out in a few months soon to first party devs. And I was reading somewhere it said, third party devs toward the end of the year. And I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Why would you make a Pro? I could understand the Slim, like you said, to make things more streamlined, to make it cheaper to manufacture. I get that, but I'm confused as to why you would need a PS5 Pro. I mean, the reason we needed a PS4 Pro, you remember, it was because of VR, because of PlayStation VR. That's what they said.
But I run We still got our PSVR hooked up to my PS4, Slim, and it works just fine.
Yeah. So I mean, it didn't
It,
obviously didn't need it. You know, you're right.
yeah, it was no the upgrade, the One X and the PS4 Pro were just trying to race more power, more
Yeah.
resolution, more frames per second, and I knew they was going to do it. I just didn't, you can't really say, oh, PS5 and the Xbox have had a great first 3 years. They haven't. They've had, supply shortages, and there's still a lot of people who don't have one.
Right.
To put
Yeah.
an upgrade version out there, then that's going to be the new unicorn that you can't get a hold of. You know?
I just don't understand. Like you said, in the past 3 years that these consoles have been out, nobody's been able to get them. Finally, people have started to be able to buy these things and get them, and there's still a lot of people playing the old consoles. I mean, the most successful console right now is the Switch, and it's way underpowered even from last generation consoles. And we're talking
Yeah.
about more power. Power, how is that if power was going to sell your platform, the Xbox Series X would be the number one console, right?
Yeah, because it's got the most horsepower
Yeah.
overall, and even though it's probably marginal from the PS5, that you're right, it is the most powerful.
Yeah, so I'm confused. Like, what is it? I mean, I don't know anybody. I have a PS5. You know, I know plenty of my friends that actually have PS5s. I don't know anybody that has one of these consoles that's thinking it's not powerful enough. Everybody that I know that has one is like, yeah, if the only complaint I hear about it is it's humongous. It's too big. And the design looks weird. People still don't like the design. That's what I hear complaints about. Or the controller. People say the controllers break. Mine's actually okay, but I've heard people say they've had issues with controllers breaking. Nobody is saying the PS5 is underpowered. I'm not hearing that.
Mm-mm.
So
No,
why?
I'm not hearing it either.
Yeah, and it's already a $500 console. So are we talking about a $700 PS5 Pro or something?
Yeah, or I don't know. And what are they going to shoot for? 8K gaming? I mean,
No,
that makes no sense.
yeah,
4K, totally 4K across the board. All it does is 4K, 60 and 120 frames a second. I mean, great. That's still not going to change the games. They're going to be a little smoother, a little bit higher resolution. Okay. It's just like the PS4 Pro.
I'm all
And that,
for better frame rates and higher res. I'm better textures or whatever. I'm fine with ray tracing. Honestly, I don't think ray tracing is that great. It's pretty cool, but I mean, I would. Most people I know that have a really good gaming PC, if they can disable ray tracing, they just turn it off.
they do it. Yeah. I figure most of them do, because all it does is eat up all those clock cycles
Yeah,
to give you some. I mean, it looks pretty,
right.
but you can run it. You could run the same game with double the frame rate, or maybe not double, but ridiculously high frame rate compared to ray tracing.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I guess some people. I just don't know that there's a market for a PS5 Pro right now. You know, people. I don't know how that's supposed to work, unless they're planning to reduce, like bring out the PS5 Pro Slim at a cheaper price, and have the PS5 Pro be 500. Maybe you could do that, but why even bother? I just don't. I just don't see there's like these people out there chomping at the bit trying to get a more powerful PlayStation right now. Because, I mean, frankly, the game developers are just barely starting to catch up with what they can do on the PlayStation 5 Pro. So, I don't know. Like I said, I just don't see more power in a game console at this point. Because since we're at this level finally, I don't see it really being this big a deal. I think we've reached a level of proficiency with the technology where I just don't see people out there going, damn, but if it was just a little better. I'm just not seeing that. I don't know.
I mean, the next generation, so to speak, Um, well, now its current generation is not even fully utilized yet.
Exactly.
Like you said, some of these games that came out, God of War and all these PlayStation exclusives, they were on the PS4. A lot of these games, there are some games now coming out that are Series S and Series X only, but even Hogwarts Legacy, which is a fantastic game I played on my Series X, is coming to the Switch and other ones later this year because they're fine,
Yeah.
it's just crazy. They haven't even fully utilized the next generation, this current gen, and here we're going to again. This feels like us talking way back when,
It does.
and
This is a conversation that gets repeated every year or every few months, I guess. Like you remember back in the day when they were talking about releasing the Switch before we even had a name for the Switch. They said there was going to be a pro version. You know, there.
yeah, thankfully Nintendo didn't do that.
Yeah,
I just wish they would try to upgrade and put out a new version of said Switch, but then that's another topic that's
right.
been talked about for years. But Nintendo doesn't care about horsepower; they care
No,
about games,
they never
and that's
cared
why they're
about
kicking
horsepower.
everybody's ass.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But according to Phil Spencer, games are not the answer. What is the answer?
No,
An Xbox Series X Pro? I don't think so.
no.
But what's a pro console going to do for you when your games like Jedi Survivor run like total crap, no matter what your hardware is? Whether you have a badass gaming PC or a top tier console, what difference does it make? You're going to put out a pro console that's going to run the same crap game crap. So
Until they fix the game, yeah, exactly.
it's all about the games. That's all it's ever been about. Good games. Games that function. Games that actually work. That's what
And
it should
don't
be
crap
about.
out on you, yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple more games coming out this month on the list. I don't know if you've seen Lord of the Rings Gollum or System Shock, the remake.
I've seen Lord of the Rings Gollum a little bit. I haven't seen much about System Shock, but I don't know about Lord of the Rings Gollum. That might be a sleeper hit. That may just be a ho hum. It does okay, but I hope it does good. Dead Island 2 came out to,
Yeah.
okay reviews. Unfortunately, for, next generation or I guess current generation consoles, it's a $70 game. I kind of wanted it,
Hmm.
but since its reviews are kind of, then I just decide I'm going to wait till it goes on sale. So
I think
if I
that's
even get it at all.
yeah. I think that's what we all do nowadays. Is like very seldom do I ever buy a new game, and it's because, like you just said, it's overpriced and there's problems. There's all these problems. And why do I want to go through all that? Why do I want to pay for that? I'm going to pay you so I can deal with all that crap? No. You know, it sucks. I mean, when was the last time you pre-ordered something like a major game? I know you
It's,
pre-ordered
it's
the
Zelda, and that's
yeah.
been the first in a while. It's been, it's to the point that I know that's going to be a 9 out of 10 game
Yeah.
at least, and it's going to be worth my time. I just didn't want to have to go hunting for it and hopefully, it get low stock somewhere. So I just went ahead and paid for it. But most of the games, it's just like some of the movies. I sit there and wait for a second and go, oh, okay, the review suck of that movie. Okay, we're skipping it. You just got to see the reviews. If it comes out to like a good 8 or 9, then I'll go out and I should buy the thing. But
Let me ask you this. If Nintendo was releasing games like EA and a lot of these other places that are releasing games that had bugs and stuff, and then they announced they're about to bring out the new Zelda, does that make you think twice about that pre-order? You know?
hmm it would be if they did that. But their quality control is actually pretty good.
Right.
Now,
See?
not every game coming out on Switch. I'm talking about Nintendo's games
Absolutely.
because there are garbage games on every system.
Yeah.
There's so many garbage games in the eShop. It's not funny.
But what you just said is why I think that's absolute evidence as to why Nintendo is where they're at, because people trust that brand. You know, Nintendo has proven time and time again that they're going to put out a game and it's for the most part going to be, they're going to deliver on what they say, whether it's the gameplay experience or just the quality of the coding, you know. And I don't get why some companies can't seem to understand that a delay. I mean, I get it. Everybody's trying to make their money. I get it. You've been in development for a long time. I understand that. But the permanent damage that you do to your brand, I just don't understand how they don't see that. You know, maybe that's just
They
me.
gotta make those. They got to make the stockholders happy or somebody happy by hitting that date. That's what they're worried about.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Well, Picky Old Gamer, do you have any overall thoughts that you'd like to address or anything you want to bring up here at the end? Because we probably need to wrap this up. Is there anything?
No, not really anything pressing I want to talk about anymore. Like I said, we hit the main topics. And like I said, this is the first Game Ramblings of season 3. So we'll be coming to you every month.
Yes,
We're
sir.
not going to do it weekly. We're not going to do the weekly thing. So don't get all, ecstatic that we're going to be doing this weekly, because no.
But I want to be ecstatic. I'll have to be ecstatic about other things.
Exactly.
I don't know, man. I have really missed hanging out with you and just talking video games and doing our show. I have missed this so much, and I was so happy when you said, "Hey, let's do Game Rambling again." I was shocked. I was like, "What? Like, you want to do this?" Because I love just hanging out and just rambling incoherently about video games and hanging out with my buddy. So
yeah, I enjoy it too.
Well, I really
Now
appreciate.
let's go make money off of it. Let's make $1.50 off of it.
About tree fitty. Dude, thank you so much for doing this. And I look forward very much to our next episode. And anybody that's watching or listening to this, thank you for your support. We really appreciate it. And let's try to talk Pico Gamer into doing more videos on his channel. Come on. He's coming back. Come on. Come back. No?
Negatory.
You're ruining your...
Negative Ghost Rider, the pattern is full.
Let me have my dreams. Let me dream. Anyway.
Take the right medications, you'll dream just fine.
Okay.
So sometimes you have the not funny dreams too.
We're getting into another area. This is not game related. All right. Pickle Gamer, thank you for being here. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for all of your insights and thoughts about all this kind of stuff and these kinds of things and all this stuff. And anyway, I really appreciate it. And
yep.
I will look forward to the next one. But for now, I'm Cyrus.
I'm Picky O Gamer.
And this is Game Ramblin', Season 3, Episode 1. We will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.